Hey, Alan,
Hey,
can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you, man.
Okay, so I wanted the kids to find out uh, what it's like being a special ed teacher and also a therapist and also a professional musician. Since you do all three, I think it's really interesting. Also, I think most of my students don't know you since you're a sixth grade teacher and you started last year. Also, I don't know if a lot of the eighth grade students know that you were a student of mine back in the day at Monroe. So
That is
thank you for
true.
being here.
No, thank you. That is true. It was great to be in your class those years ago. But yeah, so now here I am.
Awesome. So, Alan, some questions for you. At what age did you realize that you wanted to be? Well, we could talk about all three careers, but at what age did you realize you wanted to be a special education teacher?
Realistically, me being a special ed teacher didn't happen so long ago. Like I realized that I want to be a special ed teacher probably actually last year. I didn't grow up thinking that's what I wanted to be. The way it happened is because I had a different career at the time, me being a behavioral therapist, and working in behavioral therapy, I realized that, there's a lot of things that are missing that help people. And that being is academics. You can do a lot of things in behavioral therapy, like, teaching life skills, coping skills, understanding how to calm down or understanding, when you should calm down. But a lot of those times, there's only so much you can do to help somebody. And that's why I realized, what? I wanted to become an educator because I had the opportunity fall on my lap. And from there, I decided to take a risk. And from there on, I realized that, what? This is what I want to do. And I didn't realize this is what completely I want to do for the rest of my life until I stepped in it. Because I got to see how much of an impact I got to make on people with both using, the stuff from my therapy job and doing stuff, that academic wise, and combining them together is what really made me love doing what I do and meeting wonderful students like the eighth graders that I have, or that I work with, very often, like Urel, Maite, Adam, Sebastian, Steven, who are graduating very soon. It made me really happy to work with them. And being a teacher has been such a rewarding experience. It wasn't something I wanted to do immediately, but it's something I learned to love, and I realized while doing it.
That's terrific, Alan. So I was going to ask, what is the most rewarding thing about being a teacher? In a way, you kind of already answered it, but uh, if you want to add on to that, what would be what you'd say is the most rewarding thing about being?
Like I said, definitely being there for your kids, because for me, personally, they're not just my students. I see them, I call them my kids, because you really build that personal, one-on-one, relationship with these kids, and you learn, how, what are their needs, what do they need help with, and things like that. And that personally has been so rewarding for me, being able to work with kids like that. And most importantly, something I do want to be more specific about is teaching my kids learning how to use their words. Because before, a lot of the times it's very frustrating, to communicate with someone else, and the thing is learning how to ask for help, learning how to calm down in a frustrating, environment or frustrating situation. My students, my sixth grade students, went from not being able to communicate as well, being able to tell me when they need help, what are their wants and needs, when they want some personal space, all those things. I felt like for me personally, teaching a kid to communicate and understanding that, you know, that there are people that are there to support them, that was been the most rewarding experience for me, in the educational field.
Wow. All right. And what would you say are the biggest challenges to becoming a special education teacher? And then let's make sure we talk about the other two careers also.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, the biggest challenge in special education is definitely making sure that you could give your attention to everybody. That's the biggest challenge, because you want to give everyone that experience. You definitely want to give everyone, that I'm giving as much help as to the student who's doing the best in the class, to the student, who needs the most help. And that's what I feel like it's the most challenging part. And not only that, but getting the lesson to be meaningful to your kids, because that's what it should be. How can you relate it to their lives? How can you relate it to their future, what they want to do? Maybe you might have a kid that may be interested in making video games in the future, making software. How do you make this lesson important to that? What if, I have a kid who wants to be a mechanic in the future, wants to fix cars? How do I make my lesson important to that? I feel like it is challenging to do, but it's doable, you know. And now regarding my other careers, definitely what makes my job as an educator challenging is the stuff I do on the side as well. Because yes, I dedicate a lot of my time to teaching, but my time does get consumed doing other things I've always wanted to pursue in life, such as, providing therapy for kids. That is definitely a challenge I've had, because balancing the time between those two, along with me being a musician, it's very difficult, but it's doable as long as you love something that much. So for example, I put a lot of time into prepping for my case, and I really, have a hard time doing that, knowing that I need to prepare lesson plans for my kids, and also doing, let's say, writing music for my band. It's very challenging to do all those different things, but if you love something, you'll find the time.
And do you also find time to relax, Alan?
Very little,
Very
realistically.
little.
But you know what? I'll say this. Music for me is relaxing, because let's say this, for me, being a musician is totally different from being a teacher, because for me, music, it's what relaxes me. Music makes me happy. And there are days, let's say I have to teach class. I'm a Holland, and class ends at 3, right? Well, guess what? I have to be in Anaheim like at 7 o'clock to get ready for a show. And the thing is that music, getting on that stage, doing this other job that I have where I make an income from it, definitely is a way to relax. So don't just think of relaxing as a way that, what, I just get to sit on the couch and relax. No, relaxing can be other outlets too. Things that are artistic, things that are very, expressive, and that's why I have my other job as a musician, because it teaches me, what, I get to go out there, do what I do what I love. And I get to rest, and get my mind away from other things by going on stage, doing this other job that I love so much.
That's terrific. Well, I got a couple other questions. I want to make sure there's some time for the kids to hear you play guitar a little bit.
Oh
Um,
no,
oh
I'm
no.
terrible. No, I'm
Uh,
just kidding. Of course, yeah. That's definitely. I'd love to do that.
okay. Do you think it's important, Alan, to work and learn in middle school?
Oh, definitely. The reason why I say it's very important to work and learn in middle school is because everything you do here will impact what you do in the future. Always, whether if it's learning some core math. At the meantime, it may be something that's very frustrating, or maybe something that is not as engaging for you, but realize that in the future, when you do step into classrooms, or maybe even a job in the future, everything you do here affects that. And that's not just in the classroom, that's with life as well. So for example, everything you learn in the classroom, everything you learn outside, you're basically developing who you are. What are your study habits? What are your work habits? What are your strengths and weaknesses? It's not just in the classroom, it's everywhere. And that's what every student needs to understand, why middle school is so important. It really builds who you are going to be in the future.
And what if you didn't work hard in middle school? Is it too late to start in high school? What do you think, Alan?
It's never too late. I don't think it's ever too late, even if, past high school, you know, whether you, let's say, what, that you didn't give it your best right now here in middle school. When you get to high school, guess what? That's a fresh new start. That's a time to realize, what, I need to do better here. And I have that opportunity because everything is new. It's a new slate. And everyone deserves that second chance. Anyone can get it. And as long as you put the effort into it, you can do it. So realistically, you know what, even though let's say that you weren't doing your best here, you always have that extra chance, and it's never too late to give it your best. Never too late.
Absolutely. Okay, Alan, what would you like to say to 440 eighth graders?
So what I want to say is that, talking about the careers, we talk about our successes, right? We talk about how well we did. Oh, I'm up here and I'm playing in front of stage in front of 700 people. Or let's say I'm here providing therapy for all these, for all these kids, all these clients. And then here I am teaching a job where I can afford a place to live. I can feed, the people I care about, my family. But another thing to remember is that failure is okay. Failure is going to happen, because as much as it is great to succeed, getting there to that road, failure is something that's going to happen. And that's the part that challenges you. And you have to realize, you know what? Even though if I fail at getting somewhere, I'm going to keep trying and I'm going to keep going harder and harder and harder. Because what happened for me is that me becoming a teacher didn't just happen overnight. There was a lot of obstacles and failures I had to deal with and realize, you know what? This is where I need to get better. Not just this, not just that. Even with music, I realized, you know what? I failed at this show that I did. I need to realize what can I do better next time to make sure I do better. So failure is a part of the road, and use failure as a way to make yourself better. That's what I have to say to all of you eighth graders, because when you realize, when you get to high school, when you get to college and in the future, guess what? It's not the end of the world if you fail. That makes you realize I need to get back up, and need to realize, what do I need to do different? That's the next step.
It's terrific, Allan. Well, can
All
you play
right.
for us now?
Yes, I will play for you now. All right, eighth graders, this is for you guys since Cohen asked me to do it. I'm very happy to show you guys what I do on the side.
All right.
There we
That's
go.
awesome, Allan.
All right, thank you.
All right,
And
Allan, thank you so much for doing this. And
for sure.
I'll talk to you later. Thank you.